Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 118, and today we're going to be doing battle with Fizz Riven. And so, kind of sorry for the duplicate content over the past few days. I know we're hitting you with real double doses of the duplicates, if you will, in our third video in a row featuring the Papercraft Dragon. And then, I don't know, man, we've probably made like 5 or 6 Fizz Riven videos over the past 2 months because we play it so much in Gauntlet. But with seasonals coming up, this is one of the decks we're going to be bringing to the event, and so I do want to get a bit of last-minute practice in with Fizz Riven before the event gets here to us. And so, if you aren't familiar with the deck, if you aren't here with us regularly, this is a Papercraft Dragon deck. You're looking to load up some unit with Papercraft Dragon. You give that unit Overwhelm with either Might or with the Flipped Riven Sword or with the Reforge Overwhelm, and then you use that unit to ideally kill your opponent in one attack. If you need to attack multiple times, you do have things like Ruined Reckoner to have your big all-in unit able to attack twice, or you can occasionally come up with some rallies with a Fizz flip card. His flip card is the Playful Trickster. That does give you some options in terms of getting rallies and attacking twice. But in general, the way that we've built this deck, the way we like to play this deck is I like to call it the all-in style of Fizz Riven. You will see a lot of Fizz Rivens that carry a bit of the Fairies package. They'll play the Fairy Lantern, they'll play the Grandfather Fae, which generates the spell-shielded units. Then the spell-shielded units are a nice target for Papercraft Dragons, and they're nice targets for Riven Swords and such, but I don't like to go that route. I like to go the all-in route to where we're just going to try and punch this damage in as fast as we can. And so, to that end, we do look to ignore the majority of the Fairies package. We are, of course, just playing Papercraft Dragon, but then we also have Face Sprouts as the additional way to search up Papercraft Dragons. But that's it. That's the end of the story there. We are doing no more Fairies beyond that, and so we are really focusing in on hitting Reforges in the early game, trying to generate that Riven Sword, and then B, getting an OTK as quickly as possible. And so that OTK as quickly as possible aspect does give us a bit of additional utility style cards. We have Wallop, which you can use offensively to stun a unit out of combat. So if we attack with our Overwhelm unit, we wallop the blocker away. That blocker no longer prevents any of the damage from the Overwhelm attack, or it can be used defensively, which is quite important nowadays that there's so much Action Gnar and Action Renekton running around. Here, we are also playing 2 copies of Friendship as the means to protect our big all-in style unit. With the action decks, we're getting to play Rite of Negation. You don't have access to that here. We're not playing Sharima. Friendship is the next best option to either pass out the barrier or pass out the spell shield. And so, as these games progress, you will see a lot of similar patterns to our previous videos, to where we're trying to drop the Papercraft Dragon on turn 5 or turn 6 and then just make a big Overwhelm style play. But again, this one is going to be a little bit more all-in-y. We're going to try and just pop off that combo as quickly as we can, as opposed to where there's a lot more kind of grindy elements out of these Sharima-based versions of the Papercraft OTK. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in and get ourselves to battle. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I've got the deck pulled up here. We haven't been turning things premium because there's only epics left. And I mean, I feel like we really just have to premium up the Papercraft Dragon at this point. And so it's finally going to get the premium treatment. Our entire deck, fully premium. If you didn't know how to pay to win, this is how you do it. Look at this. Everything's premium in here. That Riven was premium. Fizz is premium. Yeah, you can't get more prismatic than that. But do have to fix our loadout real quick, and then we can jump into battle. Let's use Reckoner's Arena today. I like it. We'll hit up the cat. Card back has to be Fist Bump. And then let's get these others in here. Kitty, Cupcake, Echo 1, Echo 2, Ari, and Rainbow Twisted Fate. Uh-oh. Where's Ari? Where'd it go? Perfect. Okay, the most important part of the videos out of the way. We got our premiums. We got our emotes. Everything is ready to go and ready for battle. And so, yeah, this is an interesting deck, kind of in terms of seasonals. Again, the idea I'm bringing to seasonals is I'm just going to ban the Aphelios deck. We have a lineup that's set up to be good against a lot of the top end, primarily Twisted Fate Annie and Heimerdinger Jace. And then the kind of concessions that we're making with this lineup is we're bad against Scouts and we're bad against Talia and we're bad against Ari Bard. And so that, kind of is what it is. That's at a real high level, the idea with the lineup. But, excuse me, the thing I've always really liked and enjoyed with these Fizz decks is they are good at what I call the long tail. Here, I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm looking for early game reforges. With the action deck, I would hang on to Papercraft Dragons, but as we're playing with Face Sprouts, I'm a little bit more okay with mulliganing them away. Maybe we do look to keep it here against like a slower deck like Sejuani Twisted Fate, but I really like to just mulligan for the reforge cards. So we can hang on to it. This is a fairly poor spot for the Dragons because they have some Frostbite elements. But this has a thing that I like to call the long tail, as to where the way I describe it is if we would look at Magic, Magic has the top deck usually contains like 20% of the meta if you're looking at Standard, and you just never see that in Runeterra. The top deck over the past week or so has been sitting around like 7% of the meta, and so if like the top, say, 5 decks of the format are only 35% of the meta, that just leaves a big tail of a shitload of decks at the bottom end of the meta, to where you can't really account for all of it. And it's very nice that Fizz Riven is extremely good against that long tail. And so it's one of the reasons I really wanted to bring this deck to Seasonals. There's just so many decks that you have to account for that you can't account for everything. And this does account for just like a wide swath of those decks. And so here, this is kind of interesting to see this draw just pop off like this. This is one of the big all-in style plays that you can make. In that next turn, we can drop all 4 fragments plus the sword onto Riven and then follow up with the Papercraft Dragon. I'm not really looking to do that. That's a little bit too all-in-y for my tastes, especially against a deck that can be sporting 3 Sisters to get flash freezes onto her. But this is, one of the things to take note of. If you're playing against, say, like, I don't know, Bard Bilgewater, they don't have ways to come out and interact with your Riven. You can really look to slam in a ton of damage that way. And the monkey business. Playing the Powder Pandemonium deck. Sure, it took me a minute to figure it out, but that's what's happening to us here. We've already taken damages this turn, so I am okay with just letting this Powder Monkey damage roll through. Our big decision this next turn is, do we want to get started with Riven and the Papercraft Dragon? And I'm leaning more towards it now. Now that I realize he's playing the Powder Pandemonium deck, we can just pop off a huge turn with her. Now that we picked up the Reckoner, we should be able to get a kill next turn, assuming he doesn't have some kind of Frostbite here. He can play Sejuani's next turn, right? She costs 6, and so we may not get a chance to hit with Riven next turn, but we're going to get a big slam in on this one. Okay, so we want to put Overwhelm on Riven. We want to put +2 attack on Riven. We want to put Quick Attack onto our Reforged dude. That's going to give us a Riven flip. Now we'll slam in. This isn't going to be enough for a kill, right? Our Riven is only going to have 8 power here. This would only be 16 coming at him, but it gets us really close to the lethal. See if he drops the 3 Sisters this turn. Like, the thing that we can look for with our next attacks is, say we make an attack with this 8 attack Riven, he plays a flash freeze onto her. We still have, follow-up unit boosters, and so it's not necessarily the end of the day if she gets flash frozen. Then you can kind of see it here as well. We'll go ahead and call this sequence out as our opponent's trying to do stuff, but one of the common sequences you'll see with this Riven is you'll play all 3 fragments. That's going to get Riven to flip, but you don't want to take the time to play a slow spell in the Blade of the Exile. And so you'll play 3 fragments out. That'll flip your Riven, and then you can look to play Elixir of Wrath onto Riven. That will be the first unit booster that she sees for the turn, and then that'll give her +6 attack for the round instead of just +3. And you get to do that all at burst speed. without trying to drop the Blade of the Exile. So let's see. Like, if he plays Sejuani here, that's fine. We're kind of ready with a Wallop. If he spends some mana on something that isn't Sejuani, then we'll be able to go for the Ruined Reckoner here. Do need to give our Riven Overwhelm this turn if she's going to be attacking. We luckily have the Fragment in hand, so we can do stuff like Ruined Reckoner, Overwhelm Fragment, Elixir of Wrath to come in for 24 Overwhelm damage from Riven. It's tempting, like, even if he plays the Sejuani, to still go for the Ruined Reckoner, right? It's going to make Riven a 0/6, but Sejuani's only going to have 5 attack and not be able to kill her. We'd probably still just go for the OTK that way. Okay. He goes for Sejuani. Right, so he can bring some kind of hook onto Riven. I don't care about any of these. None of them are big enough to kill her. So let's just go ahead and win the game. Nothing wrong with winning the game, right? No problems with that. Let's just let that unit fall. We're only taking 4 damage on the turn. Okay, so 6 attack onto Riven, Overwhelm onto Riven, Midnight Raid onto Riven. Ripperino, my dude. Drop an emote on that one. I guess there's technically a world where he could have, like, I was going to say, I do forget a little bit about these black market merchants having cards out of our deck and making them cheaper. I guess there was technically a world to where he could have had a 0 mana play, but let's be real. Let's just drop the emote on him and get it over with. Okay, what up, Viego? I'm curious if we start to see a more rise of Mono Viego, given that Quicksand is so good against all of the Papercraft Dragon decks. But it's interesting in that the Quicksand it doesn't strip off the attach though, and so you do still get the double strikes, but it can't take away the overwhelms, which is the scarier piece of the Papercraft Dragon puzzle. All right, not a bad start. This is a Vile Feast deck, so I'm not going to be playing this turn 1 Fizz. If we had some kind of way to easily protect Fizz on turn 1, then that would be great. It is nice to punch in this little bit of chip damage if you can, but up against a Vile Feast deck, I don't think it's quite worth the risk, especially since he's such a good game closer. And so we'll leave the Fizz back, just move on to the next turn, see what we can do with the Runeweaver and with the Librarian. Might be like little tempting to try and build up this Librarian. Depends on what fragment we find, but we can have some options with it. I'm gonna lead in with the Runeweaver though. See if he's got a Vile Feast. Not yet. What did we pick up? +2 attack. Not exactly the fragment we'd be looking for. Let's just go ahead and trade. I worry about a Vile Feast. I don't want to just get like 2 for 1 right from the get-go by a Vile Feast, and so I'm going to take it slow. We'll make that attack. We'll follow up with the Runeweaver now. Runeweaver does interact well if they start to play stuff like Kamaver and Soldier, but not currently something we have to worry about. Oh, he's going to draw his Viego. I was like, the fuck are you doing? Combat is over. He's got to play that 0 mana spell that draws a champion. or a glimpse from beyond, something. He's not just gonna play this ephemeral and call it a day. But we do have a pretty nice all-in-y style build-up here. We can play Fizz next turn, and then we can have a 3-bank in total, go into our follow-up turn, and then really start in with this Papercraft Dragon Fizz, have a lot of protection for him as well. We should be in pretty decent shape here. So I'm going to lead with the Librarian. If he wants to be up to shenanigans here, I would like to have our protective unit ready. And then we can follow up with Fizz. And then next turn we can look to just say play like a +2 attack fragment on Fizz so we can save our Elixir of Wrath as a counter spell. Cool. Let's get him, Fizz. Time for some booms. And so like I was saying earlier, we can say put this +2 attack onto Fizz. He's going to catch Elusive and get in a pretty strong attack. Opponent then does have the option to try and quicksand Fizz, but he's going to hang on to the quick attack and the +2 attack from the Papercraft Dragon, because quicksand doesn't remove attach elements. And so he should be pretty safe here against the face of this Camaveran soldier. I mean, I guess realistically we would have to Elixir of Wrath here if he does the full -4 attack quicksand. Our Fizz would be a little short. The thing I think we might have messed up is you're big enough to take our Fizz down. There you go. Maybe he's playing on mobile. Is if we should have attacked with the Assistant Librarian. I think I would have liked that a little bit more, right? We would have definitely been punching in here. I think that was a little short-sighted. I was kind of like, just like thinking in my head, I want to keep these spells around because we don't have a ton of stuff going on. But, oh, is it going to be double quicksand, huh? Nope. Okay. But yeah, I feel I was just like the wrong thoughts were flowing through my head there. I was like, if we attack with the Assistant Librarian, he's just gonna block, and it's not gonna be good. But we really left a lot on the table not attacking with the Librarian there. Okay, we can protect our Fizz with the Wallop here. And then we're going to be looking to open attack next turn. We'll get our legs in. This would be a lot cooler if we just had another cheap spell in our hand, wouldn't it? It'd definitely be a lot cooler. Still in a pretty good spot here, but we definitely... I'm definitely regretting that Librarian not hitting last turn. It would have been enough for like 3 damage, so it'd take him to 14. We'd have an additional spell in our hand. A little sad. A little sad. Alright, so let's put the plus attack spear onto Fizz. I'm going to put the Overwhelm fragment onto our Fated Librarian, which would now be really cool if it was a 4 attack unit instead of a 3. And then we'll jump into battle. He does have like reasonable blocks across the board here. He has the the 2/3 in front of our librarian to prevent the card draw, the 4/1 in front of our Riven, and then the 1 coster in front of little guy. But I like to just chunk in this ton of damage, and then B, it wears away a lot of his abilities to pop off with Viego. Right, Viego kind of needs some density of dudes on the board to catch some sacrifice effects and lose some combats and stuff. Feels kind of nice to just punch in and clear his board. Okay. What a different story this would be, right? We would have our opponent at 4. We would have 2 additional cards in our hand. And then we could have really considered just going for an OTK. If we only needed to deal an additional 4 damage, we could have tried to trinket trade into our Fizz. Not happy. Not happy. All right, he's got all the big boys now. Not awesome. So my worry at this point now is quicksand. I think we're kind of okay. Let's just pass. We did pick up the Playful Trickster, which gives us some options in terms of making a second elusive attack. So to me, right now, the big thing to watch out for would be dying to an atrocity. And so we have to block some of this, right? If we take 9 damage, that's kind of okay. But we can't be falling to 8 health is where the kind of pain point is going to be. Where do I put him? So let's see, if we fall to 9, ooh, Viego is going to grow 1 this turn, but we'll just be trying to get a kill off of our open attack. I think this is fine. All right, Fizz. See if you can save the day. Our slop is hurting us. Hey. And then we're going to be looking to attack with both of these units next turn, just because of the Playful Trickster. So if we need to do something to get a rally, we can pull the Librarian out of combat. Hopefully our Fizz will still be safe because of the double attacks, like assuming opponent has a Quicksand or something. Getting the opportunity for that second attack can be quite good. Fizz is still capable of taking down a Hydravine through a Quicksand. I guess the question we should be asking here, since we do have the Trinket Trade in hand, this fragment does generate the Riven Sword. Maybe that's our problem. We should have just generated the sword and played it this turn. Like, I think we're okay in that we have all these Trinket Trades, but getting that sword down last turn could have been nice. It's like he's ready to bring some kind of heat onto Fizz. I don't appreciate that, dude. Oh shit, why's Viego a 9? Are we going to die to Atrocity? I thought he ended last turn at an 8. It's because... Hmm. I'm not sure what happened there. This has been a slop fest. Why do people even stop by? I gotta just start talking about Colin Firth movies or something. That's what the people are here for. This is gonna be the Atrocity, isn't it? Oh, Rite of Negation. Okay. So Brothers Bond is the fairly easy take out of those. See if we can't pick up another trick here. Stress defense does a little bit in that it we can stress defense down his unit and have ours not die. But then we're just not going to get a kill this turn.
Oh, come on, come on.
Well, this is what we get, isn't it? For we'll go ahead and give this one up. That was a bit gross. I think we would have been fine if we'd stopped and thought about that a little more and got those proper attacks in with the fairy, and then got that Riven Sword going in the previous turn there. But good learning experience, right? We got to get more of that before the seasonals comes upon us. All right, next battle. That's tough, but that game was kind of an interesting one in that I'm curious if the Viego starts to make a comeback, given that, again, like the Go Tall decks have kind of fallen out of the format, and it does have answers to the Papercraft Dragon style decks, and having both Quicksand and then Rite of Negation isn't like a super combo stopper by any means, but it can be quite useful. And like when you get in those sequences to where you've like already popped a spell shield and now you're trying to vengeance the unit away, and having the extra counter spell. But all right, up against Talia. This matchup is a real pain in the dick. This is not a good one. And so I like to push heavily onto the Reforges and then try and get a big all-in attack in early. Just the kind of longer this grinds on, the more problems you run into, since you can't protect your fizzes with blighted ravines. So a lot of times you find yourself just have to be like, YOLO, right? here's my fizz. I'm ready to attack. Do you wanna be a part of this or not? So we'll see. Let's see if this one turns out like that. Ooh, we did get the full sword start though. That's one way to take these people down.
I write the rules of power.
Not going for the sword this turn. It's just like too awkward for us if we drop the sword or the Riven, and then he goes, LOL, watch this. I got a blighted ravine. And so we're going to let that go. I'm really tempted to pick up this Hunt the Weak. You can hit Three Sisters with Hunt the Weak. That's going to be one of their cheaper cards. They do play like imagined possibilities, but I don't think we're ever casting Tellstones. And Roar the Slayer is not really the kind of removal we're looking for. But I can see something useful coming out of this Hunt the Weak. That may, if it's, say, like the start of our turn, and they can't play their imagined possibilities because it has focus, or if they have to preemptively play a Three Sisters before we attack, and then we have the opportunity to play more combat tricks afterwards. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not wanting to play this in Constructed, but I can definitely see some opportunity for Hunt the Weak in this match. Okay. Let's see if they drop a Blighted Ravine. If they don't drop it, then we can just go for Fizz. Now we have a decision, and do we want to just go ahead and play Riven? I think she's going to be fairly safe here. even with just the 2 points of damage on her. It's just like we're way too slow if we go into next turn and try to play Riven and try to play Fizz next turn. We need to get this Riven down, drop a Papercraft Dragon on her, and then hope we hit a Overwhelm Fragment. Got a 50-50 shot on the Fragment. Did it? Oh, we were good. We had that Overwhelm guy on board as well. Alright, ready to do some big sword shit. She should turn like super prismatic when we put the prismatic attach onto the prismatic Riven. Didn't anyone at Riot think of this shit? What kind of company is this? Come on. Come on, guys. Where are we at? Overwhelm. So, not getting a lethal this turn, but it would be nice to chunk them down 7. You know, we had some into this space to where we now represent like a double OTK opportunity in both the Fizz plus Papercraft Dragon and then the Riven plus the Papercraft Dragon. Okay. Single 8/8's not a big deal. It can prevent a big chunk of this Riven damage, but it's not going to be threatening lethal on us anytime soon. So what we're going to be ideally looking at here is the next turn we'll roll around. We're going to put this +2 fragment onto Fizz. We're going to play the quick attack fragment onto, I guess, Fizz as well, since Riven already has double strike. And then ideally we can use this might to +6 attack our Riven and chunk in that extra damage that we need. The spell shield's probably not going to be relevant. They always just go for flash freeze instead of going for entomb. But we are threatening quite a bit of damage here. Okay, where are we at? +2 attack. Going to Fizz. We did, I guess, pretty luckily as well, just snipe and overwhelm. We needed that. Okay. There is the Riven flip. Now, if we need to play a Might onto Riven, it's going to give +6 attack instead of giving +3. Game says we're coming in for lethal. That's always a good place to be, right? GG. You can win a bad matchup on occasion. If they're a 60% of the favorite, it doesn't mean they win every time. This isn't Sex Panther we're talking about here. Nice. Okay. Any Twisted Fate. Let's see. We'll hang on to the Riven. I want to find more of our cheaper stuff, though. This is one of these matchups to where we're gonna be here for a while, and we can't really count on Riven to do a ton.
I hope that was mud.
Let's go make some friends, Tibbers.
Oh, talk about needing the reforges. Ask and you shall receive.
To serve the greater good.
Okay, and I'm going to look to just open attack here. I don't want any points of damage onto our Riven. Well, now that we've picked up... He just banked 2 last turn. It's pretty bad if he has a stun spider as well. I don't really want this Riven sitting around with damage on her. So I'm okay with just banking everything this turn. We did pick up the second Riven though, so we can be a little bit more aggressive with her. You got a cat? You want to hang out? You just want to meow a lot? What? This is the dumb cat. Let me see if she'll hang out. Opponent's not doing anything, so we have plenty of time for kitties, right? Get her up here. She says, I want to be on the internet. What up, everybody? She says, stop telling people I'm the dumb cat. That's a poor thing. She knows we talk a lot of trash about her. It probably hurts her feelings. But if we're gonna be real, she is the dumbest cat in the house. So it kinda is what it is. Do we ever want to friendship through this? I mean, probably not. Prefer to just be saving it for more of an OTK style turn. We can just play the other Riven on our next turn when it rolls around. Am going to play the Face Sprout though, so we don't lose out on the mana. Assistant Librarian's not a bad place to go. We can make up for our misgivings in the previous game and do a little bit more work with the Librarian.
Got the book. Let's start our search. Very neat.
It's a Tibbers.
First the smoke, then the fire, then the timbers.
And again, I don't think we really want to just go for Riven here. She's not gonna do too much onto this board. Having a 1 health Runeweaver is not ultra exciting, but I don't really want Riven just getting damage attached to her. And this will get us just like nice and built up to going all in next turn. Nothing better than just a big all-in attack. Okay, so he's down to 4 mana. We can still just like drop a Pokey Stick this turn, but it's basically we're gonna win next turn or we're not. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. He's not putting damage onto our Riven. And he's also not saving Steve for a gold card. I guess he can't play Steve and Tibbers next turn. But I would expect his idea now is to just try and Tibbers Riven. Oh, shit. We didn't spend a mana. We should have played Quick Attack onto our Riven last turn. Hopefully we don't run out of mana here. Right, because if we're just going to put the sword on her, she's going to have Quick Attack or Overwhelm anyways. And so Quick Attack is the safer one just to throw down. Now, where are we at in terms of damage? 12. We're short. 14, 1 short. We wouldn't be able to wallop, but... Is barrier is barrier the way to do it? That's the scary way to go about it. Let's be real. Let's go with the spell shield. That will counter the disintegrate, and she'll just have damage on her next turn, which is again not ideal, but okay. GG. Needed a Fizz. Fizz is the real key in that matchup. He can soak through a lot of that removal, but weren't able to stick anything. What are these fucking things? Such weird looking Diana Nocturne Aphelios. Okay. I think you hang on to Pokestick in this match. They have a lot of early game 1 health units between I don't so much care about the 1 drop, but they also have the Knight's Edge, whatever that thing is, the Knight's feature. the 2 drop that returns you some spell mana. And so it is nice to interact with a little bit of that in the early game. The Knight's feature. I think that's what it's called. Okay. Riven's ready to party. See if he plays the Knight's feature on us. Rocks in my boots. We should have brought our board game board with us. The rats on rats, rats everywhere. That's what we get for bringing the Noxus board. It's gonna go ahead and send it. Like, the Blade Squire doesn't add a lot here, and then it does give up our ability to play Pokestick. And so I think we'll just play it safe with the stick. See if we can't pop one of his units. All the Blade Squires.
A new moon rises.
So how scary is Diana ever? I think we can just play our Blade Squires now. We're gonna like lose somebody to her. I guess like my thing with like playing Riven is that they're just like not going to interact with it, like unless they can kill her. And so it's either he's gonna like quick attack challenge down one of our units, or he's gonna just do something to slay Riven. Maybe not this turn, but the next turn as well. And I don't feel like we're in a space to really want to be risking her at this stage.
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics. It's my time. No mercy for heretics. The guilty will bear.
And we are kind of interestingly getting built up to where we might be able to win these games with just a Papercraft Dragon onto a smaller unit. Doesn't look like it's going to pan out like that this turn, but there's a possibility there. And Moon Boy. I really wish we had like a combat trick so that we could. What we're looking to do now that he has Aphelios down, and he's able to just really get stuff going for a prolonged period of time. I'm going to look to be playing. I'm gonna look to be playing the Papercraft Dragon next turn. Stopping there, it's like we're in that spot again where I'm kind of like half considering if I want to just go ahead and play a quick attack fragment, because we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose out, and we're gonna have that 1 point of mana we're not gonna have next turn. It's a little concerning. Right, that's again like the quick attack's not gonna matter for anything, but we lost out on that point of mana. I gotta get in my head that we can start doing stuff like that. Fix Gravitum, no surprises there. It's a nice way to shut down the Riven for the turn. If we're trying to say play Riven Sword on her, you can still hit with Gravitum.
The moon is our queen, the night her kingdom.
Oh man, she grew way bigger than I was expecting. I thought we were going to be able to friendship out of this. Oh, she'll still have a point of health.
Night flowers upon my blade, the promise of a new moon upon me. Face your heretic.
So I would assume Riven's going to get hit with a Unspeakable Horror next turn. That seems kind of like the likely outcome of what's happening. But we're going to have to win this game right now. So I'm just going to block a Felios. That's going to leave him with the smaller piece of health. So if we get a second attack with our Ruined Reckoner, his board's just not that big. Damn. Oh, we did hit a second +2 attack. But would be a lot cooler if we had an additional point of mana here.
I am reformed.
What conflict awaits?
We're just good. He's going to bring an Unspeakable Horror, and then we have a Friendship. But I would feel better if we had 2 mana. You could play Pokey Stick or something else here.
Her flowers bring the moonlight with them. We will resist.
Neg 22 coming at you. GG. Fuck him up and still get there, am I right?
I know what I must do.
Monty is a much superior Runeterra Smith. But that's one of the kind of the interesting things that you run into with these RNG-based card games, if you will. It's not like playing chess. We haven't talked trash about chess in a long time, but with chess, it seems like a lot of the time it's just a math problem. I mean, I'm sure I could be completely wrong in that concept, but it's like if you're like a 2000 ELO chess player, you're like just never losing to a 1900 ELO chess player. It's just the way that things are constructed and the way that things work in a game of perfect information with no RNG. And so then it's like when we're playing Runeterra here, you do have the aspects of RNG, and then you have other things where there's not perfect information that we can have the opportunity to overcome the stronger opponents.
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves.
All right. Well, opponent's not doing anything just yet. I'm A-okay with that. I'd like to see what we can build up to here. We're gonna have a reasonably scary Fizz attack on our next attack. So let's just bank up and see what we run into.
You cannot hide forever, Nasus.
I don't feel like we can just pass here. We have to add something to the board, but I don't want it to be Fizz. I don't want our Fizz just getting eaten by a Ruthless Predator. I will, like, play a Face Sprout and then start passing if he doesn't have any interesting plays, but I don't really want to risk a Fizz. I mean, we do have 2 Fizzes. We could risk it in that sense. At 3, 6... 8. We're a little bit far away from the lethals. So let's see. We need to get Fizz up to 7 attack. We don't even have to get him to 7 attack. We're looking to make a playful trickster play this turn. And so we say Elixir of Wrath Fizz. Attack with everybody. We don't need to get like super all in on this. They do have access to like the Rite of Negation, but we should at least stop and see how much mana this gets us, where things are at in that front. We could look to just Might the Assistant Librarian. I think I'm on board with this. It's now going to punch in a ton of damage. We get to draw an extra card off of it. And then just kind of be ready to get a Fizz kill next turn. He's going to have like a real issue with trying to get Renekton kills. He needs you would have to get him up to like 12 attack or so. Which if you do Papercraft Dragon, he goes to 6. If you do Ruthless Predator, he goes to 8. And then his ability puts him up to 10. Okay. There's the Papercraft. So now he has to OTK us with 6 mana. It's fairly tough to do.
Yeah, an even bigger weapon.
Man, that was enough, wasn't it? Serious? Huh. Maybe we should have gone for it a little bit harder. The barrier doesn't do it, right? It's only going to prevent one. Huh, damn. I guess we should have gone for it on the previous turn. The thing I was kind of like thinking in the back of my head that I didn't really bring forth is it does suck if we get hit with like a Rite of Negation, right? If we're trying to make a playful trickster style play and we get hit with the Rite of Negation, but that would have prevented him from playing a Papercraft Dragon. Now, the place where that gets kind of like more like is in that we would be losing our last remaining Fizz. And so I'm not sure if we would have really, how close we would have been to closing out that game. But I think we probably should have gone for a playful trickster play, just in that it takes away that 4 mana from the Rite of Negation. Technically 5 mana if he wants to sacrifice a mana gem to do it. And then that limits him on the next turn and his ability to play the Papercraft Dragons and then combo off a bunch of spells. He still could have done the same amount of spells if he had, maybe? No, I probably would have banked up the spell mana. Okay. Okay. I like it. It's tough, but these are some of the matchups I wish we could just sit around and play more. It is nice kind of being in this this 200 LP zone. That's kind of where it sounds like the cutoff is to making seasonals is around 200 LP, or at least the kind of safe space. And so it's at least playing against like consistently strong players, as opposed to where if we're down in like the dumpster area. You're playing against just a bunch of off meta. Let's have some funsies style decks. So it's been nice. That's been one of my like complaints about the competitive aspects of the game. I wish that that there was just like a kind of like a memory of your highest LP, and that there's some kind of kind of like memory thing. They know what your highest LP was. If you have to just say hit a 300 LP peak at some point in the season, that qualifies you for seasonals or whatever. It's just like, it's really awkward as we get to the end of the season and then I say have to sit on my LP. And so I'm just sitting around playing normals because I have to sit on the LP, and then that's just like a downside all over the place. The kind of like the flip side of me does say that you know, if you can't maintain that level of LP, like if you can't maintain that 200 LP, then you probably just don't belong in seasonals anyways. But I think it should just be a more inclusive event. The other thing that kind of gets to me is there's no way to play best of 3 leading up to seasonals, and so like when Friday rolls around, they typically come up at like noon or 2 or 3 o'clock Riot time. I don't remember when gauntlets actually come up. I rarely play them on Fridays, but I don't have the option to play best of 3 this week leading up to the premier best of 3 event that Riot provides, and so I wish that they would do a little bit of editing and changing things around a little bit to make it a touch more player friendly. The last part of it that kind of gets me is I don't like how they handle the top cut into the final set of rounds. I thought Magic handled it much more gracefully as to where if you look at a Magic Grand Prix, they got to the point to where they had so many players that you were having to go like X and 1 on the first day to make the second day, and then you were going to have to go basically X and 1 on the second day to make the top 8. And that they kind of said, well, having to go X and 2 or go X, having like 16 people go X and 3 or whatever was pretty awkward, and so they basically just said everyone at the 7 and 2 record gets to play on the second day, and then everyone with the X and 3 record at the end of the second day gets the Pro Tour invite. So you may not make it in to the top 8 top cut, but you still get the Pro Tour invite as kind of a consolation for doing so well at such a large event. I think they just handle that a little bit better than we see out of Runeterra. Here, this is kind of tough. In like the perfect world, I would love to be able to projectile onto the flight and boost our Fizz. Looks like that's not going to be the case here now that he's dropped Diana. But I was hoping we might also be able to get like a big Unspeakable Horror play this turn or something. Not the case. See you, friends. We're putting the +1 attack on the unit that he's least likely to want to kill, right? He would more happily drop Unspeakable Horrors on the Conchologist since we don't get the Last Breath token off of it. So how hard are we going to go for this next turn? So we have another Fizz in our hand, but I'm leaning towards like we're at the point to where we need things to go right with this Papercraft Dragon, and so I'm not really super interested in playing Fizz this turn. I don't feel like the Might changes anything. If at the end of the day we just bank all this mana, I think it's okay. And then we can try and do a Papercraft Fizz on our next attack token. You should be really close to the lethals with the +6 in hand, right? It's 2, 2, 3, 3. That's 10 in total. Doubled is 20. 20 is typically good for an OTK.
Cloaked in silver light.
Okay. Now the downside to this kind of angle is as we come and approach that next turn, we can't play both Fizz and Papercraft Dragon next turn, so we do have to spend the 5 mana on turn 6, and then we only have access to 4 mana for spells. Isn't all this shit just awkward? Isn't that just awkward? We can pass, though. If he just passes back to us, I think that's completely fine. He's definitely attacking now this turn. So the flight will go away. We don't have to worry about it right now, but I guess he's gonna... I wonder how much of this is gonna come down to the flight. If he does actually attack with it, I'm kind of surprised he's not pulling it back. I guess you just need to punch in the damage and not worry about the Fizz OTK. But
Blind me with resplendence, but they could not break me.
if the flight is on board, then we have to have might mana for our next attack. It's only coming at us for 12. So we're not going to get lethaled here. We're not worrying about Unspeakable Horror. Yeah, this shuffles in. Draw one and shuffle me into the top 3 cards of your deck. Yep. I wonder... Now that it's like I know that we aren't going to spend very much mana that turn, I feel like we should have just walloped the flight. No, I don't care about the damage, but it's like giving him the opportunity to top deck it is... okay. That would have been more so reason as well, as to just getting domed by the Doom Beasts. I was thinking don't fall to 1 because of Unspeakable Horrors, but we definitely should have watched ourselves at 2 as a means to prevent from the Doom Beast kill. And so we maybe kind of left a lot on the table there. Like I think the wallop would have done quite a bit of good. If we could have both killed the flight, that takes away that 33% chance of just losing the game to his elusive unit. Lets us spend some of that mana that we're just never going to spend anyways, right? We're if it goes back to his next attack token, he's just won the game, and so we have to win the game on that last Fizz attack. And so I think we should have just done it. Even at worst, we should have just like hit the 4/1 just to prevent the damage. But the flight was the better choice in that it would have given us the removal of the elusive potential. Okay, on to the Annie Jin deck. I like to have a nice early start against these. They can really come out the gates with a lot of aggression, so it's nice to have the 1-drops to come in and block things. We always want the Reforges anyways.
Words of power linger in the air.
I bring music and
Get in there, son. Get in there, son. I guess I should say daughter. All right. Get my librarian down. Aw, can't block Annie just yet. Oh, can block Annie. That seems like that one might have been of a bit of an overstep.
This way, that way. Very neat. Calm down.
I think we're safe enough now. Our health is pretty high. You do prevent 1 more damage blocking the Boom Crew rookie, but I think our health is high enough to feel okay with this attack. And we have the quick attack fragment, so we can still attack into the rookie. It's a little dangerous trying to be all in on this librarian, though. They do have an assortment of removal spells.
I'll shoot the wings off a bilge.
Oh, cool. Get to draw a card. Always up for drawing a card. Alright, are we going to have to throw away Fizz in this combat? Not really excited about it, but it's better than dying. We're pretty far away from OTK land. Alright, so let's face Sprout. I think we're looking for picks, but anything cheap that we can actually play will get the job done. Assistant Librarian's looking like it.
Just follow the yellow light. Easy.
And we don't have to spend any spells on Fizz this turn. He can just block his highest attack unit. What's the next biggest damage coming in?
Oh, don't fuss.
This 2? Now, the spot that this gets us in is, do we have to, like, pivot and just try and get an OTK? We did, I think the Overwhelms are probably going to be a little bit safer. Right? If the way we're looking now is putting Overwhelm onto an Assistant Librarian, then spewing off a bunch of spells, and then finishing up with the Ruined Reckoner. I don't think we're going to be making Fizz plays out of this.
You're boring.
Okay. And he's only got one card in hand.
I hope this works.
Do we actually want to generate the sword? Oh, wow, we just picked up Riven. I don't... Riven's, like, so expensive. If we go for Riven, then we can't go for a Ruined Reckoner. And so Riven is a little bit slower. But without having double attack, it's not going to be enough. I think we need to be attacking right now and getting a second attack in with our Elixir of Wrath. So... Overwhelm.
Page 87.
Let's see where that gets us. Maybe, that might have been a little hasty. I'm curious now if we shouldn't have put Blade of the Exile on our other Assistant Librarian, so we're coming in with the 2 sources of Overwhelm.
Gotcha in my sights. Don't think I know that one.
Okay.
If they don't break,
And so let's see him spend some mana. So how do we want to go about this? I worry about things like Ravenous Flock. And so I'm like curious to myself if I want to like move away from an Assistant Librarian based kill over to the Runeweaver, but the Runeweaver still suffers from problems in that sense. Okay, wasn't going to be enough, but I think we had some issue there as well, and that probably should have played the Riven Sword on our other Librarian to get both of those Overwhelm attacks in the same turn. So, all right, great set of games, great set of games. We only finished the day with the 4-4 record, but I feel like had we cleaned up a couple of those games, so specifically that Nightfall game with the wallop onto the flight, and then the other game to where we missed playing a point of mana on some quick attack fragments, that we could have really turned those around. I feel like if the fakers of the Runeterra world were doing battle with our matches and with our games today, they would have easily pulled off a 6-2 or a 7-1. But that's the stuff you gotta tighten up for seasonals. You got to be ready for that stuff, and you got to be doing all those things correctly in every game if you want to be making those top cuts. And so it was a really valuable session of games for me today to just get some more experience with this deck and pick up on some of those little more nuanced style plays. And I think the big thing that we really kind of picked up with this is really managing that mana and kind of looking for those spaces to where we know that we're going to be playing a bunch of fragments in the next turn, and we know that we don't need to actually play them on that turn. We can look towards like the previous turns to drop some of those fragments and not lose out on that spell mana. And so it's say if it's like turn 6 and we're going to overbank 2 mana, and then we're going to have a Papercraft Dragon attack next turn, maybe we do play the quick attack fragment a little bit early. Or if we're looking to load up an attack onto Fizz to where they can't block him, then maybe we do get to play that Overwhelm Fragment early, so we don't overbank the mana, and then we can roll into the next turn, and then have that mana left over for friendships or mites or wherever else we need it, and not have to spend it on the actual OTK turn itself. I think that's going to be the big thing I'm going to have to kind of look out for and watch out for, is how we manage our mana with this, and be a little more mindful of how we're using our fragments, and then not being afraid to air quote throw them away. But nonetheless, a pretty good set of games. I felt like that was pretty valuable. I feel much more ready as Seasonals approaches, and I hope you all learned to love this and had a good time with it as well. But that is going to do it for us today. This is going to be our final video until Seasonals comes out. I'm not going to put together a Saturday video for Seasonals. You can go and watch people on the Twitch. You can soak it all in. I would love Seasonals to be as popular as possible, and so if it gets an uptick in the people watching on Twitch and stuff, that just helps Riot out. And so I won't be giving my 30 views to you on Saturday. You're going to have to venture over to Twitch and watch someone else. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. You maybe learned how to quick attack on the wrong turn a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.